Welcome to another session of learning. I am Dr. Giftsy from the Department of English at Christo Jayanti College, Bengaluru. Today we will be dealing with the play, The Recognition of Shakuntala. So, some of you might be familiar with the story of Shakuntala. It has its origin in India and it is written by the great Kalidasa between the 1st and the 4th century BCE. And it's inspired by the Mahabharata tale. It centers around King Dushyanta and Shakuntala. So, for you to know the story and the plot line, Shakuntala was, born to an apsara, or in other terms, to an angel. And she could not take care of the baby because the baby was sired with her union with a human being. And in her time period, it was not ideal for an apsara or an angel to have conjugal relationship with human beings and bear children, and so she had to abandon her child. So she abandons her child in front of a monastery that is run by the sage Kanva, or it's also called as an ashram in Indian terms, to have a better understanding. And Shakuntala as a baby was very beautiful, and Sage Kanva, although he had forgone his earthly life, but still this small child drew his attention. And when he sees the little baby Shakuntala, his inner fatherly instinct, parental instinct awakens, and he gives her shelter, and he adopts her as his child, and he takes care of her. And so Shakuntala grows in the care of sage Kanva. And later, what happens is, after Shakuntala grows older and she's really a very beautiful maiden, we see that one fine day Kanva is forced to go on mission a little bit away from his ashram, and he instructs Shakuntala to take care of everything at home and not to venture far away. But after Kanva leaves, we see that Dushyanta, the young prince, he arrives in the forest, and as he's wandering away, he meets Shakuntala. And the moment he sees Shakuntala, it's love at first sight for him. He's smitten by the maiden. And we see that Shakuntala also is aware of the concept of arranged marriage. Remembers that she cannot deny the proposal that is given by Dushyanta, and therefore for her also it's love, and she accepts the proposal of Dushyanta. And Dushyanta also, promises to marry her and formally give her a a name. But before that, he gives her a token of his love, which is a ring. And this is a token of identity that she would have to keep with herself safely. And then we see that Dushyanta receives the information that there is a war in his country and he has to leave. And he leaves Shakuntala behind and he goes. Actually, he had waited for some time to meet Kanva the sage, but the sage did not come. And so he had to leave to his homeland, and he had to leave especially to take care of the war that was happening in his homeland. And in the meantime, we see that Shakuntala is all alone, and she's so much in love, and she's in this dream-filled world, smitten by the young prince, and she's not bothered about the things around her. And at this point of time, we see that another sage, comes to the ashram, and Shakuntala is so engrossed in her love and in her romance and in her dreamland that she forgets to show hospitality to the sage. She forgets to, welcome him and inquire about his needs. And this enrages the sage. And so the sage curses her. He says that she will be forgotten by the person about who she's so much thinking and so much she's dreaming about. And this curse can was too much for Shakuntala to bear, and her friends plead on on her behalf. And we see that the sage lessens the curse, and he says that there's one way that the person that she's thinking of can remember her, and that is if she shows him the token or the object that connects the two of them. And with that, we see that the sage leaves. So this curse lingers on the life of Shakuntala. And we see that, in the meantime, Kanva also comes and she talks about her encounter with Dushyanta and that she wants to go and meet Dushyanta and get the recognition, the identity that he had promised. But as she, journeys through the forest, she comes across a raging river. And, she thinks that she would be able to cross the river safely. But unfortunately, the flooding waters are too much for her to handle. And we see that the ring that she had held, the token that, Dushyanta had given her, it falls off into the water, and she's unable to retrieve this ring because the water's force is too much for her to bear, and she's not able to search. But still we see that Shakuntala thinks that her love and Dushanta's love is stronger than all these natural calamities, and she thinks that Dushanta would definitely remember her and he would recognize her. And so she continues her journey and she reaches Dushanta's kingdom. But once she reaches there, we see that Dushyanta has been victorious in the war, and he is celebrating his victory. And we see the people are also jubilating around him. And he gets the information that there's one woman who's come and who claims that she's married, she's betrothed to him. And Dushyanta does not remember her, he does not recollect anything about her, and so he refuses to recognize her and he rejects Shakuntala. And we see that Shakuntala is very distraught and she returns back to Kanva, but we see that Kanva also disowns her. And in the meantime, she gets pregnant with a child. And in the meantime, in the kingdom also things, there's a change, especially a fisherman. He catches a big fish, and when he cuts open the fish, he finds a ring in the stomach. And he finds that the ring is too precious, and so what he does, he takes it to his king Dushyanta. And when Dushyanta looks at the ring, he remembers Shakuntala. And then we see that for some more time there is war, and so their union is delayed. But after the war, we see that Dushyanta, because he remembers his beloved Shakuntala, he goes back to reclaim Shakuntala, and that's how they are able to meet once again, and he's able to resolve the conflict that had been between the two of them. And he recognizes Shakuntala, and he also elevates her to a queen. He marries her, he gives her the identity of a wife, and then later on as a queen also. And then towards the end we see that Shakuntala gives birth to his first son. And with that we see that the recognition of Shakuntala comes to an end. The most important significance of this, drama is that it has parallels to Ovid's Echo and Narcissus. And some of the major themes that are analyzed in this drama are love, memory, identity, and fate. There's also an aspect of curses, how a curse could turn the fate of people. And this is deeply embedded in our Indian mythology and in our Indian thinking. So this drama is you could say that it is a shadow of the beliefs that Indians had in the olden times, especially during the times of the epics. And we could call this as a masterpiece of Indian classical literature. So, with that, we come to an end of this session, and I hope you were able to gather some information about the recognition of Shakuntala, this great piece of writing. Thank you, everyone.